up on any skills right now. We got 5 minutes. I'm happy to help give you a point. So it says the top divided by the bottom. So if you want to divide fractions, you take the bottom and you flip it. And turn it into multiply. Okay. So the bottom should flip.
So for number 2, so if I can't simplify it, I just need extra function.
Yeah, but something went wrong with the factor. Because you're right that negative 15 and positive 1 would add to negative 14. So I want you to take a look at the board. You have to do that process, which you did, but then you have to do factor by grouping. So you need to split apart that negative 14 into negative 15 and positive 1x. True, but x times x, does that give you 5x squared? No, so take a look. Maybe if you need to get closer, go look at it, write down the steps. You have it done, okay?
But isn't just why it's negative 14 multiplies to negative 15?
When we have that a in there, it throws things off. You're going to break apart the negative 14.
Wait, so then what changes?
5x plus 1 times x minus 3 is what it should factor. So if you're confused with it, you should go write down the steps. Check out the difference between yours and mine. So that's called factor by grouping. I said they need to add to negative 14 and multiply negative 15.
Why 15?
Well, because 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Right? First times negative. Well, and so the 2 that I break negative 14 into is negative 15 and positive 1. So you see that in the middle there? And now I factor 5x out of those first two. 5x negative 1 is right. To the right, those two. I just factor out 1. And now I have x minus 3 coming to both. Factor it out. And I'm left with 5x plus 1.
Yeah.
We got Daniel doing first and third, and he's going to be our presenter today because I'm going to put number 2 up on the board. Yep. You're missing something. I think you canceled 5x plus 1 and 5x minus 1 when you can't cancel them. So I have up on the board how to factor this one. If you have trouble factoring, it's up on the board. You need to copy that down. Remember how to do that. 5x squared minus 15x plus 1x minus 3. this factors into 5x minus, or sorry, what is it? Plus 1 times x minus 3. Okay, so that's what this numerator is. So it's 5x plus 1 times x minus 3 divided by x minus 3. I'm dividing a fraction by a fraction, so you take the bottom, you flip it, you turn it into multiply. X minus 2. Bottom is 5x minus 1 times x plus 2. And now you cancel what you can. There are two things that you can't cancel. You can't cancel these 5x minus 1 and this plus 1. Can't cancel that. And you cannot cancel x plus 2 and x minus 2. The only thing that cancels is that x minus 3. So your final answer should have been 5x plus 1 times x minus 2 divided by 5x minus 1 times x plus 2. Victoria?
I'm still confused how you got the negative 15x plus 1.
Well, so again, this goes back to when we said factoring, right?
I know that, but like, and I know it's like factoring by group, but like, why is negative 15?
5 times negative 3 gives me negative 15. So it needs to multiply to negative 15, has to add to negative 14. The only two numbers that do that are negative 15 and positive 1. They multiply to this and add to that. If you try and look for other ones, they will not work. This is the only one that works. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So we got that one down. If you're having trouble factoring, I'm telling you, this is going to come up again and again in pre-calculus. So you need to get help with that if you're struggling. This is prerequisite now. We've learned it before. All right, Daniel, you ready? All right, cool. Let's get Daniel up here.
Woo!
Go around. Anytime. Put it all in right here.
Okay, so the formula that we have is D is equal to R times T. So D is equal. Wait, with the eraser
Eraser.
or just that one?
Right down there by the highlighter.
Okay, so basically for the time, we're gonna do 30D plus 45D, and then which is gonna be over these two numbers multiplied. Which that's the number that we get when we multiply both of these. And then so D, so distance or is it distance or direction?
Distance.
So we have two distances. So that would be 2D. And then so R is unknown, the rate. So we're trying to find the rate. So for that we would do R is equal to D over T. So we have D and T. So that would be basically this. This 2D over 30D D, and then over 3. So basically, this is 2D over 1 times 30D plus 45D over 1,350. So when we do the reciprocal, it would be a multiplication problem. So we would do 2D over 1 times, since it's multiplication and we're doing the reciprocal, 135 would go on top at the numerator. And then, yeah, 30D.
And just
plus-
combine them. Just combine them. The 30D and the 40.
Oh, okay, that would be what, 75? basically it. So 2D cancels out, and then these two cancel out to 36. And then that would be miles over hours.
Anybody have questions for Daniel on that one? You're good. Gotta know how to do those word problems. Alright? And then just speed us through number 3 so we can get started.
Should I write it down?
Just tell us, and we'll check yes or right. Yes or
Okay.
no.
Should I just like say the answers?
Yeah.
Okay. So, for domain, I have. Wait, how do you say it again?
X is such that.
X is such that X is not equal to 9. And then for the range, we have Y is such that Y is not equal to 2. And for our vertical asymptote, we have X is equal to 9. And horizontal asymptote, so here how it says plus 2. So basically, the horizontal asymptote would be equal to just 2. And then for y-intercept, I have 0, 11 over 9.
Let's check that in our head. So 7 over 9, that's negative 7 ninths plus 18 over 9. So that is 11 ninths. Yep.
And then for our x-intercept, I have negative 11 over 2, 0.
Anybody else get that one? X-intercept? I gotta check. Anybody else? I've only got 2. 3. Alright, so I trust you. Looks good. Nice job. You worked for me. Okay, refresh just because we didn't walk through that one and some of you didn't answer me on the x-intercept. How do you find the x-intercept? You set that to 0 and solve, right? Okay, so you know how to do that. Okay, so we're doing 8-5, day 1. And all we're doing today is solving rational equations, which you already have experience with. Okay, so 8-5, day 1, solving rational equations. We'll get to inequalities tomorrow. We're also going to use our graphing calculators today. So, let's see. Don't need to get it right now. Okay, these first 3 problems. Give me a thumb level. How familiar do they look? Somewhat familiar, totally familiar, not familiar at all. I want to see everybody's thumbs. Okay, good. We'll copy them down and then we'll work through them. As you're copying them down, which one looks the toughest? You think the last?
The first one.
You think the first? I think the first one too. But it's subjective. That's just what I'm saying. So the first one. What makes it complicated, Ilias?
2 x's.
2 x's and one of them is
In the denominator.
in the denominator, right? I don't like fractions, so I want to get rid of these fractions. How do I get rid of that x in the denominator? Multiply everything by x, right? First step, clear denominators. Clear denominator. So multiply everything by x. X times x is x squared. 18 over x multiplied by x. Well, the denominator cancels. That's why we did this. So minus 18. 3 times x is 3x. And now solving this is very easy. It's a quadratic. You know how to do this. X squared minus 3x minus 18 equals 0. Adds the negative 3, multiplies the negative 18. Negative 6, positive 3. This factors into x minus 6, x plus 3. And I have my two answers. X is equal to positive 6. X is equal to negative 3. So I say to check your work for a reason. For these problems, you're going to sometimes run into ones that do not work. So you need to check your answer whenever you're doing any solving involving rational equations. So before we check, are there any questions on the steps? No? Clear denominator, bring everything over to one side, factor, solve. Now check. Let's just do some mental math. 6 minus 18 divided by 6, is that 3? Yeah. 6 minus 18 divided by 6, 6 minus 3, that's 3. So this one works. Negative 3. Negative 3 minus, let's see, 18 divided by negative 3, negative 6. And you're subtracting that, so negative 3 plus 6, positive 3, equal to 3. Check. That one checks out too. Good with that? So look at that. That was the hardest one, and we got it down. This one is going to seem something like from geometry once you organize things. How do I get rid of this 2? Subtract. Well, what's 2 in terms of thirds, so I can subtract this? 6 thirds. So 10 thirds minus 6 thirds gives me 4 thirds. This is a proportion. 4 compared to 3 is equal to 4. Oops, I gave away the answer. 4 compared to 3 is equal to 4 compared to x. So what does x have to be? It has to be 3. There's not, 4 compared to 3 is equal to 4 compared to, there's only one choice, right? X has to be 3. So I don't even have to do any extra work. You could have done cross multiply and solve, but this one was already shown right in your face. Well, this one's the same type. Reorganize and then solve. Reorganizing everything gives 6 over x is equal to, you have negative 7 minus 5, negative 12 over 4, that's equal to negative 3. Well, in your head, you can already see what the answer would be. 6 divided by what would give me negative 3? Negative 2, right? But let's find out how to do it without doing that. 6 over x equals negative 3 over 1. Cross multiply. 6 equals negative 3x. Divide by the negative 3. And you get negative 2 equals x. Good? Yes? Ask question. I see some.
So, I get it once you got negative 3.
Mm-hmm.
What did you do after that?
Right here?
Yeah, okay.
Well, negative 3 is just negative 3 over 1, right?
Yeah.
Cross multiply. X times negative 3 is negative 3x. 1 times 6 is 6. Then divide by the negative 3 to get 6 divided by negative 3 is negative 2. Okay. Yep. Okay.
Once you get to 6 over x equals negative 3, can't you just multiply each side by x and then solve?
True. Yes, you're right. So I didn't have to do this. Yeah. Could have just multiplied by x. Sometimes that confuses people, so to do it like that. Good. Good. If you're not good, you need to be brave and ask a question. All right, like some of your classmates. All right. I expect you to check it on the assessment. These all work. right? But I expect you to check it on the assessment. Here's one where we're going to get extra, okay? Extraneous solutions. Extra solutions, ones that will not work, all right? So let's start with 4. Somebody who I haven't heard today, make a suggestion. How should I make this problem easier for myself? How do I get rid of the fractions? And multiply by x minus 2. It sounds like a good idea. Multiply everything by x minus 2. And if you don't see that this is going to cancel things, look at it as x minus 2 over 1. That's going to cancel all the denominators. Multiply everything by x minus 2. Oops. So your goal in all these problems is cancel denominators. 5x times x minus 2 over x minus 2. 3x plus 4 times x minus 2 over x minus 2. So if you didn't see why it would cancel, now you do. They're multiplied, so I can cancel. And now this problem is easier. 5x equals 3x plus 4. Subtract the 3x. 2x is equal to 4. Divide by 2. X is equal to 2. That's my answer, right? No, it is not. Why is that not my answer? Yes. Go back and say, is this a solution? You need to keep track of what x cannot be. Like Molly said, 2 minus 2 would give me an undefined answer over here. I can't have that. So, I have this solution, but I have a contradiction because I told you at the beginning, x cannot equal 2 because of this domain. But you found that x is equal to 2. Therefore, you have a contradiction. So therefore, no solutions exist. So just a quick notation thing to make your life easier and less writing. These 3 dots, they mean therefore. Okay? Therefore, contradiction, because you said x cannot equal 2, but you found that x is equal to 2. Therefore, contradiction, which implies no solution. Okay? So some new, say it again. This one is implies. The arrow is implies, this one is therefore. Yep.
So why can't we have 2 as the solution?
What's the domain of this piece? The domain, what can you not have x equal to?
2.
You cannot have x equal to 2. That's why this produces a contradiction.
So is it only if both sides have the same denominator?
Nope, even if that didn't have that, I'd still have a problem if I tried to use x is equal to 2.
So then we need to check at the end to see
Yes.
if it really,
Yes, you need to check at the end.
see if it really makes it.
That's Russell. Hi, I'm having a class right now. I can't talk. Okay. If you could please maybe call back after school. Thank you. Okay. So we found that one. Did that answer your question there?
Yeah.
Yep. Number 5. Number 5. Same trick. You don't want these fractions. There's something you can multiply by that will cancel every fraction. Does anybody see what it is? X minus 8 is a part of it, but I want to cancel every fraction. Say it again. Yeah, so if you multiply everything by 2 times x minus 8, multiply everything by that, x minus 8 will cancel here, 2 will cancel here, x minus 8 will cancel here. So we're going to multiply everything by this term, 2 times x minus 8. 2 times x minus 8 multiplied by this, 2x minus 5 over x minus 8 plus 2 times x minus 8 times this term x over 2 equal to 11 times 2 times x minus 8 all over x minus 8. Now cancel things. These cancel. These cancel. These cancel. And now simplify. So in this step, does anybody have any questions? This step, does anybody have any questions?
Wait, where's the 2 go on the side that doesn't have the 2?
2 is still here. 2 is still here. 2 is still here. It disappeared only from here.
Oh,
So now we have to multiply 2 times 2x minus 5. 4x minus 10. 2 times this gives me 4x minus 10. Plus x times x minus 8. X. X squared minus 8x. That's from this piece. 11 times 2, 22. So right now we're simplifying. So continue to simplify. X squared is going to be at the front. I have a negative 8x and a positive 4x. So that's a negative 4x. I have a negative 10. That's equal to 22. All I did was simplify. Subtract the 22 and then solve. Negative 10 minus 22, negative 32. Factor, adds the negative 4, multiplies the negative 32. You got it? Negative 8 and 4. X minus 8. X plus 4 equal to 0. X equals 8. X equals negative 4. Do you see any problems with any of those answers?
Yes.
Which one?
X equals 8.
X equals 8. There you go. Good eye. Right? Maybe starting right at the beginning and saying what x cannot be would be good. X cannot equal 8, so therefore this one is not an answer. You should check your work and make sure that negative 4 works. Why don't you do that? Just make sure that the negative 4 works. Make sure that that negative 4 works. Check your work. Negative 4 minus 8, negative 12. Negative 13 over 12. Six. Okay. You checked your work? Should have checked out, right? Heard a lot of whispering and not too many calculators. So make sure you know how to check your work. Yep.
So when you crossed off the x equals 8, does that just mean that the only answer is x equals 4?
Exactly. So the only answer is x equals negative 4.
And so there's like not an answer when any answers you got, like all of them got checked off.
Right. So this, and if you had multiple ones, make sure you check each one. Yep. All right. Solving rational equations. Are you good with that? Yep. Okay, so now we have to learn how to use our calculators a little bit more, which is always a good thing. I want you to pull out that graphing calculator so we can give it a little bit of a whirl. So every one of us needs more practice with these calculators. They're very powerful and also very confusing if you haven't used them that often. So let's start with step 1. Go to y equals. I want you to input this as y1, and I want you to input this as y2. y1, y2. So input those. Once you get there, I'll pull it up with you. Oh, something I didn't mention. Need to make sure you put parentheses around the denominator. Otherwise, it's going to have an error. You need to put parentheses around the denominator. That's fine. As long as you can see them intersecting, that's good. So if you graph this, I have this, and then I need to graph -2. Make sure you use the negative sign, not the subtraction sign, or else you'll get an error. So you need to use the negative sign, not the subtraction sign. So you should get this. So you should have this on your screen. What does it mean for these two functions to be equal? What does it mean? It means they intersect, right? They have the same x and y value. So you want to find where these things intersect. Right, Dylan? So, calculate second trace. Go to second trace. You're going to calculate an intersection point. Intersect. It's going to ask you for the first curve. If you're paying attention and you're looking up here right now, you'll see that it's blinking on a part of the curve that I don't want. Why don't I want that top part of the curve? That's not where the intersection is happening, right? So I need to scroll over. I'm going to hit left a whole bunch of times until I see it appear on the bottom. There it is. That's my first curve. I'm going to hit enter. Second curve. I'm on my second curve. That's the line, right? Hit enter again. It's going to guess where these two curves intersect. Hit enter again. Okay, the point where they intersect is -5, -2. -5, -2. So let's go back and write that down and then make sense of it. We went to calculate, then we went to intersect, and we found that the point is -5, -2. So, this function, I want you to look at my hands as I point to this. This function is equal to -2 when x is equal to, so that means the solution to this is x equals, there you go. So you solved it and you got x is equal to -5. I saw a hand.
No, I see what it is.
Oh, good. You'll get another chance to practice it.
Wait, so once you get to the first curve, like down here, do you go up to the other one?
Well, you want to hit enter on the first curve.
Yeah, I didn't do that.
Now is it asking you for a second curve?
It says guess.
Well, hit guess.
Oh, okay. I got
Good.
it.
So you're going to have to enter 3 times with these problems. So let's try one more to make sure you have extra practice with it. Why don't you do this one? 17 over 5x minus 3 equals -9. So use your calculators again. Okay. anytime you have this kind of an error or anything else, just reset it. Second memory, and you'll be able to find it from there. There's a reset button. Second memory, and you see reset. Okay, now you'll be able to graph. Yeah. So notice you're trying to find out when y is equal to -9, so that should be in your window, but
It isn't. So is this?
yep, I see the -9 down there, but did you calculate the intersection?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Alright, good. We'll change your window. And you wanted to go more to the left, right? So make the x minimum maybe -10. Yep, that's good. Nice job. Yep. Get the same thing? Yep. Got it. First curve, so you want it, it's over here, it's not intersecting over here, so I want to select this one. You can also hit left and be faster, because otherwise you're going to have to go all the way. Okay, what is it now? So right now you're on the line. You can select that one as your first one, that's fine. Okay. But something was wrong with your internet. So double check those numbers. Double check. Okay, so let's check our work. If you graphed it, should have looked like that. Let's find out where it intersects. If you look on the, guys, I need you to stop messing around back there. If you look at the picture, our answer for x should be very close to 0, right? X, wherever it intersects, it's very close to 0. So that's one way we'll check our work. Second, calculate 5, first curve, second curve, guess, and I got an error. Let's troubleshoot what my error is coming from. It says no sign change.
It could be y equals you didn't put the negative.
For right here?
Yeah, did you get negative?
Yeah, -9, so we're good with that. This one is -3, so we're good with that. This is going to happen to you too, so it's good to troubleshoot. All right. Let's see, what else could it be? We want to calculate the intersection. I'm going to go, so I should be, it's a little hard to see, but I went below the line. I went down to y equals 13. So I'm thinking maybe that is, oh no, I'm at positive 13. Let's see. I'm at -19 for y, so that's good. Now y is -9, so now I'm in the line. There we go. This is the answer you should have came to, yeah?
Sure.
Okay, so x is equal to, what's that as a fraction? So 2/9?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So 2/9, when x is equal to 2/9, y is equal to -9. So our solution here should be x is equal to 2/9. All right, so are we good with using our graphs, our calculators? Getting there? We're gonna get more practice. Are we good with solving these things? Okay. Tonight you have a check-in for understanding. It's like 3 questions. All right, and then I'll put the homework up, which will be due by Friday. And on Friday we have a
Summative.
There you go.
That's on this and the whole thing we learned like.
A4, A5. Yep, all good.
When is the last day to take the logarithm?
I would say you should do it by the end of this week, or not at all, because it's going to be too far away. So, can you do it this week?
Yeah, I think. I need to finish the study guide first.